So about the e-simulation, first of all, welcome again. Thank you. I see some of you are using the backgrounds which we created for the event. So these backgrounds were created in mind with keeping everything uniform for the simulation parts of the sessions. So first, a raise of hands for anybody who has prior experience with virtual simulation workshops. Okay. So some tips for joining the event. Of course, we've all been using Zoom almost nonstop for the past 2 years, I would say. So we're all familiar with this, but just to recap, make sure you're in a quiet room, especially during the simulation parts, that your lighting is clear, that you're able to frame yourself in the video. I think everyone has done that well, and silence any other notifications. If you need to test your technology, if you have any technical problems, please reach out to us and we'll do our best to help you. So about the certificate that you will receive at the end of our conference and event, so that will be after the 24th of September, you will receive it within 1 week of the event. And everyone who participates with at least 80% attendance will receive a certificate of participation, which will be signed by Professor Opusito Dario from our public health school. So a little bit of Zoom diplomacy, which again, I know that you guys all know. We ask that you put your name as the name of the regional block that you are using, your own name, as well as the country name. Now, later on, we will break you up into groups, into rooms, and this will be based on the regional blocks that you selected. Because of the number of participants we have, and because we want to try to keep things even, we have designated different countries or assigned different countries to those of you who are delegates. If there is any problem with the country that you've been assigned, we can address that once you get to see that list and once we go into the breakout rooms, and we can adjust it as necessary. Remember to keep muted unless you're speaking, which everyone knows, and you can always raise your hand and show your reaction as needed. Put your questions in the chat, as I said, and we will answer all your questions at the end of my presentation. So be sure to write them down or jot them down if you want to speak out loud at the end. If you have any technical support questions, as I said, please message Paris who hosts privately. You try to ensure that you have the latest Zoom version downloaded, and don't worry if you don't have that right now. It's just for the ability. On the left-hand side, you see that there's the reactions, and this will allow you to be able to vote, which is really an important part of the process. And so try to make sure that you have that facility in your Zoom. And if you need help with that, just let us know. So let's go into the who, first of all, in this simulation. So who will you represent? Who will we all represent? So the roles in the simulation will first be delegates, so WHO ambassadors. So for example, we will have a delegate of France, we may have a delegate of the United States, of Turkey, and other countries. So they will be representing the member states. And your role as a delegate will be to debate, to bring issues that are concerning to your country, and to vote in the regional blocks. We also have a role of chair and vice chair. So the chair will be the chair of the entire regional block, so the African and Eastern Mediterranean regional block have been grouped together, so that chair will cover those two regions. And there will be one chair per block. Normally, ideally, we also have a vice chair. So the responsibilities of the chair and vice chair are to open and close each regional block session, to oversee and moderate discussion, and to enforce rules of procedures. So they are also in charge of drafting the resolution that you will create for after this, once your discussions and debates are over. So they will be responsible for writing the actual draft resolution and for taking roll call, as you will see later on. And they will also announce any decisions and rules or any points of motion. Lastly, we have some roles who do not take part in the voting part of the simulation. So we have non-state representatives, NGOs, for example, Save the Children, which is represented by Tafan. So they will be present in the regional block discussions. For our convenience, each one of our team members will be in one of the regional block discussions. So you'll have the opportunity to experience having an NGO there. Today is an introductory course, so they'll be there just to answer your questions, get feedback, help you get situated in the process. Traditionally, the NGOs don't have voting rights, as I said, but they do have give a seal of approval to those to what you discuss. So it's really important that you get a seal of approval from the representative that is in the room with you. Lastly, we also traditionally have a media representative. Again, they can visit all the regional blocks. They do not have voting rights, but they can ask representatives what they're discussing and what the debate is about. And they can even tweet event updates. So hopefully we'll have a little taste of that as well. So the regional blocks, as I said, for convenience, based on the number of participants we had, we separated them into 3 regions. We have the Western Pacific and Southeast Asian regional blocks combined, the American and European regional blocks combined, and the African and Eastern Mediterranean regional blocks combined. So your purpose within these blocks as a group, as a team, will be to create a resolution paper. So the way that a regional block discussion will go is that you have a motion to open the debate. Then there will be a period of discussion and debate and writing, a vote for the draft resolution, and then a motion to close the debate. That is the basic backbone of what we expect to happen in each regional block discussion. To open the regional block, traditionally, there is a roll call. So each delegate's name will be called and you will respond present or present and voting, as the case may be. And there will be a motion by one delegate within the block to open the debate. And so the delegate, for example, you will say the delegate of Kenya would like to raise a motion to open the debate. And then the chair will respond to the delegate of Kenya, you've been recognized. At the end of the discussion and debate, then there will be a motion to close the debate. Again, this will be done by one delegate, and delegate of France would like to raise a motion to close the debate. Again, the chair will respond. So there are 2 ways that debates traditionally are held or are done in the simulation. So one is a formal debate, which is known as a moderated caucus. And in a moderated caucus, you have a motion by a delegate. So a motion of a delegate of, let's say, Myanmar, who will motion, actually, I'm so sorry. Yes, a delegate of Myanmar, for example, motions for 10 minutes of moderated caucus with 1 minute speaking time to discuss. This means that each delegate will only have 1 minute to present their arguments, to present their case for their particular country that they're representing. Once the delegate has finished the minute, which will be moderated by either the chair or vice chair, so they'll have a timer, then they will be invited to stop speaking and the floor will be open to another delegate to speak, and this will continue for 10 minutes. You will then be asked to vote on the motions that have been brought up by the different delegates. You raise your hand, as I said, use the hand emoji if you want to speak. If there hasn't been enough time, either you can raise a motion to extend the caucus, or you can start a new caucus or move to the other type of caucus, which I will present to you now. And that's the unmoderated caucus. So in the unmoderated caucus, it's more an informal type of debate. And in this type, basically you have a delegate will raise a motion for 20 minutes of unmoderated caucus, which means that they have 20 minutes on the floor to speak freely. So they will raise issues which are relevant to their country, as I said. If they have completed what they want to say before the 20 minutes are over, they can then pass the rest of the minutes on to another delegate who can use the rest of that time to present their arguments, and so forth and so forth. Again, you'll have a vote. Again, you raise your hand using the emoji if you want to take part in the debate and discussion. You also can motion to extend that caucus or return to the formal debate type if that's what the preference is. Any decisions, of course, are made by the chair in terms of what motion you bring forward. So the resolution is the main goal of this simulation. The main goal is to write the resolution and to have it pass. And as I said, as I mentioned before, you must have the approval of the NGO who is in the room with you to have their resolution passed. The resolution consists of 3 parts. There is a header, there's a preambulatory clauses, and operative clauses. You can also make amendments to resolutions. So if you have approached an NGO and they are not satisfied with what you've written, they can ask for an amendment or a new clause or removal of an old clause, and then you would make an amendment to the resolution that you've written. So basically, the header of the resolution will consist of the committee, the topic that's under discussion, the sponsors, so which countries wrote the resolution, the signatures, countries who agree and want to see the resolution presented, so the majority who vote positively for that resolution, the resolution number, which will be given by the chair, a title, and the main UN committee that you're proposing the solution from, which would be, in this case, the World Health Assembly. So in the second part, you have the preambulatory clauses. This is where you identify what the problems are, what you need to solve for your region. So you can have a history of past international actions. You can describe a problem that you want to solve, and using simple language. But on the right, you'll notice that there is a reference handbook, and these are terms that are traditionally used in writing preambulatory clauses. So you can take a good look at this. It's also in our delegate handbook, which you will find on our website. And you can take a look at these afterwards and get familiar with them, because these are the words that are used traditionally in writing a resolution. And traditionally, instead of having a full stop, there is a comma at the end of a sentence. For operative clauses, similarly, there are traditional words that are used on the right of your screen. These are just and these are again referenced in the handbook, in the delegate handbook, which is on the website. And you have to number the operative clauses that you make, and also use a semicolon, except for sentences which end with full stop. Just note that the operative clause is, of course, the solution to the problem that you've written in the preambulatory clause. And you can write the solution in simple English. So there are some other rules of procedures that can be used during the simulation, because of course we know that things may not run smoothly. There may be need to interrupt for some reason or ask for a point of order. So I'll just run through these and you'll take the time to get familiar with them so that you can use them during the simulation. So there's a motion to recess, and that will be to suspend the session until the next session opens. So if we set a session for 40 minutes and that time is finished, there's a motion to suspend the session until we reconvene. There is a motion to adjourn. So at the end of the day, you would adjourn the session for that day. A motion to close, and that would be used in the plenary session on the final day of the event. There is a point of information, and this is when you want to ask the speaker a question. You must raise your hand and say point of information and ask your question. Point of order relates to the rules of procedure. So if you need a clarification of that, you would say point of order. Point of parliamentary inquiry relates to parliamentary procedures. Points of personal privilege is when you require a bathroom break. And right of reply is if one delegate makes a statement that is related to your country and you want to respond directly, or they have made a comment about another statement that you have made, you can use a right of reply to respond directly to the remark that was made. As I said before, if there's time remaining for a speaker who has not used up all their time, the speaker time may be yielded to the chair, and then that time will be given to another delegate to continue the discussion. So finally, the plenary session. This will be the final session on the last day of the conference and simulation. So it goes similarly to the regional blocks that I described above. There are just a few additional procedures. So the draft resolution will be presented by the chairs from each regional block, and they will be voting for adaptation or use of these resolutions by the entire committee at that time. And there will be a motion for challenging resolutions by other regional blocks if desired. And once there are challenges, if there are amendments need to be made at that time, this will all take place in the plenary session until we come up with a finalized resolution. So this is just a draft of what a final resolution would look like. So you see in italics, they have the special words that I spoke about. They have a framework, which is a title at the top, and letting us know who the sponsors are, who has signed the resolution, what the topic is concerning. And in this case, it says United Nations Security Council. There can be others in that place. So that's just an example, which you will also see in the draft, in the delegate handbook. So you can take a look at that. When we break you out into the regional block rooms, you will get access to a document, a shared document, which the chair, primarily the chair or vice chair, will use to take roll call, to make notes on what is being discussed, to make notes that will be used to draft the resolution, and anything else that's necessary. So that is it for me. I will stop sharing. Well, actually, I will keep my share on just in case there is anyone who wants me to go back to another slide. but I open the floor for any questions that people may have at this time. So please feel free to use either the chat or just raise your hand and we'll respond to your questions. And if anyone from the team sees someone raising their hand that I can't see, please let me know.
Yes, we have Melanie from the Netherlands.
Yes, thank
Hi,
you.
Melanie. Yes.
Hello, nice to meet you. I was just wondering if perhaps the slides could be shared with us, or at least the slides with the different motions, so we can kind of like see them when we are in the simulation.
Absolutely. If actually, we will also show you on the website. So the dedicated website that we created a delegate handbook there. And I believe that all of those slides are written out in the handbook as well. But I will definitely share this PowerPoint with you guys so that you can take a look at it closely. Thanks for your question.
Thank you.
And also for Emmanuel Miracle, that's in the chat. I hope that answers your question. Everything will be shared.
Yes. So as I said, we decided on, using this session this morning to really give you guys the opportunity to get familiar with the topic. I know I presented a lot of information at once and it might seem overwhelming, but we really are going to be there step by step with you guys to help you formulate the groups, to designate the chairs, understand your roles better once we break out into the regional blocks. And so we're not expecting you guys to start drafting resolution today or start having a formal debate at all today. Today is about just getting used to the system, understanding how it works, understanding how what your role is, and what you're required to do from then on. Are there any other questions in the chat or in person? So I will stop sharing the screen here. If there are no other questions,
Liana, there is a question from, there are a few questions in the chat. I think they sent directly to the admin. I will forward it to everyone.
Thank you, Hein.
Okay. Liana, can you see the questions?
I think I am seeing one question so far. Are there others?
Yeah, I have two questions. I posted in, I forwarded to everyone page. Thank you, Liana.
Okay. So someone asked, you're not sure, I'm not sure what I am representing. Could you help me? Sorry, I'm not sure who asked the question because it was forwarded to me. So you will find out which country you are following based on the regional block that you chose once we break out into the regional blocks rooms on Zoom. So we have created a share document which has listed all the participants and the region, the country that you've been assigned. As I said in the beginning, if you want to switch to a different country within that region, you will be you may feel free to do so, and you just have to let us know, and we can accommodate that. That's not a problem. We try to kind of make it even within the 2-3 groups, which is why we assigned the country to each person. But as I said, we are very flexible, so we can make adjustments as needed. The other question I see is, what is the importance and opportunities of participating in this meeting for the countries for which we are ambassadors? Would you like to take that question, Barry?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the great question. Okay, from participating in this event, you will learn how the World Health Assembly process works. And in your future career, if you have work in public health field and you have an opportunity in joining World Health Assembly's conference, you will know how the process works, and you will be very proficient in the way you can deal with these kind of diplomacy processes. Our aim for this event is mainly to give you guys a taste of how the United Nations model work and how diplomatically different countries experience and communicate with each other to create a resolution that can help people around the world. This is our one major aim that will achieve when you participate in the event. The next aim is just to learn the main problem about social media and public health, which is our main topic for this year. And you will learn a lot from different speakers who actually walk in ground from different perspectives. You will learn and grow your career. So this is by participating in this event, you will learn a lot, and you will have a lot of knowledge to actually tackle in your own life. Even you walk in your local level, you will know how to deal and work in social media, how to deal and work in a different situation like pandemics. So this is our one aim. And if you represent the country, you will learn more about that country. What if the country have a problem? What you will know more about the different perspective of the country, rather than your own country that you're living right now. You can know other countries have the similar problems, and you will know the importance of misinformation around the world as well. And I hope I can answer your question. And if you like to talk, it's also, please raise your hand. And I saw one raised hand, Liana. So please,
yes,
Samar,
please go ahead with your question.
Thank you very much, Diana, for your presentation. It was very informative. Since this is my first time attending the WHO conference, I had a question that because each of us were representing blocks or regions, so the draft resolutions or the suggestions that we present, it's supposed to be specific to our country or to that particular region, because the region that I'm in is sort of, it borders with South Asia as well, and then Africa and the Middle East as well. That's the first part of my question. And the second part is, so the delegates, we have to present our suggestions to the chair, or for each region. I'm not sure who gets the final say in the after the caucus or the discussion.
Okay, thank you for your question, Samara. So when you break out into the regional blocks, once you raise the issues that are concerning the particular country that you're representing, it's possible that you may have a concern or a problem that you want to address, which is completely different to another country based on the regions, because as I said, we kind of grouped these regions more for geographical convenience based on the number of participants we had, and because we wanted to try to get each region represented. So the countries that the problem of misinformation will be different for Egypt than it is for Pakistan, than it is for China, and we're aware of this. But once you raise a motion, once you raise an issue or a problem, the hope is that within your group, you will discuss this problem. People may have a disagreement, and you may disagree with what your findings are, or they may say that, well, we actually have a bigger problem in our country and we want that addressed before yours. And so it will be up to the chair to kind of moderate everything and to come up with a proposal that covers the most important problems that have been addressed within the caucus. And that is why it's the chair's responsibility to write the resolution, which should include, the most critical, the problems that need to be addressed most expediently, if that makes sense. So the chair is the person who will moderate everything that's happening. Your role as a delegate will be to present your point of view from your country that you're representing and from the region that you're representing, whereas, and each delegate's role will be that, whereas the chair will moderate the discussion and help drive everyone towards a resolution that hopefully the majority will agree with and vote for. Voting is where you express final agreement with whatever decisions you come to. And the way that you express your agreement or disagreement would be to vote yes or no, depending on how you feel. Let me know, Hein, if you think that I've covered everything that Sana has asked.
Thank you very much. That has completely answered both of my questions. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Any other questions from anyone else?
Liana, I can share the question with you because I received it from directly to my message. I will ask the question that the participant asked: is student ambassador part of the debate as well? My main aim here is just to listen to speakers sharing. So he is asking about, is the student ambassador can be a part of a delegate? So please kindly answer this question.
Yes, everyone has been assigned a role as delegate if you're not assigned a role as chair or vice chair. The NGOs are represented by people from our team just for convenience, so most people can take part in the delegate process. But everyone, including the student ambassadors, are able to participate in as delegate of a particular country. And we will walk you through the process so that you get the most out of this experience as you can. We also have great speakers, which we have lined up, which I'm going to share more information with you today. And I think, because today is just an introductory session, you don't have to think about what your country, the needs of your country right at this time. This is more about getting to understand how the simulation runs. And once you hear from the speakers today, once you take time to look at our handbook and the theme book that's been written, you will have a lot more information at your hand to kind of help guide you through the process. And we are there as well to answer whatever questions you have, whether on the website, on the dedicated website, or just, you can email us as well. I hope that answers that question. So do we have any last couple of questions? I don't see any hands raised, and I don't see any messages in the chat. So if that's it for our Q&A session,